Now, most of the votes have been counted in Ukraine's presidential race, and latest figures suggest Viktor Yanukovych is leading Yulia Tymoshenko by less than 3%. But with the trailing candidate refusing to admit defeat, the blame game that was a permanent feature of the election campaign looks set to continue. RT Sean Thomas is in Kiev for us.
More than 80% of the ballots having been counted so far. The Ukrainian Electoral Commission has been hard at work through the night counting these ballots so that they can get the results to us as soon as possible. We have Yanukovych with 48% of the vote as of right now, and Tymoshenko with less than 3% at about 46%. At this point, Viktor Yanukovych has declared victory. He and his supporters are celebrating. They've been happy. Yanukovych! There is less than 3% difference between these two candidates right now. That's interesting to point out because experts have said that if there is less than 3% difference, then both contestants will basically contest the race. Also, against all, that interesting choice where you could choose to not support actively either candidate, that is at about 4% right now. Alexei Yarshevsky, our bureau chief here in Kiev, has this report about how the election has gone so far.
From 8 o'clock in the morning, people flocked to polling stations nationwide. There had been fears over low turnout, but by midday more than half of eligible voters cast their ballots, thus making the voting valid. Amid what has been a nervous campaign, both candidates were calm and optimistic.
I voted for changes for the better, for stability and a powerful Ukraine.
I congratulate everyone on this demonstration of democracy, when people can easily express their will. I have just voted for a new Ukraine, a happy, powerful, beautiful European country.
A lot of efforts were made to secure a fair vote. Despite both camps accusing each other of falsifications, both local and international observers deemed the runoff transparent. Exit polls suggest Viktor Yanukovych's victory, something his opponent Yulia Tymoshenko said was too early to call. Unlike on the night after the first round of the election, the feeling of triumph was missing here.
The split of 3% in the exit polls is within the margin of error. Everything will depend on how our team does, with the remaining votes yet to be counted. I urge all of you who are responsible for it, hold on to every protocol, every document and every vote, because one vote could change the future of Ukraine.
It was quite the opposite atmosphere in the camp of Viktor Yanukovych. When the presidential candidate took to the stage, he was greeted with a standing ovation. And the intro to his speech pretty much told the story.
I congratulate you and the whole of Ukraine with the victory in this vote. People wanted a change, and this election we have made a first step towards uniting our country.
The vote counting is underway, but the head of the Central Election Commission has already said that it may take longer than it did in the first time round. The Ukrainian presidential election saga will continue for some time, as it may take up to a week for the Central Election Commission to count all the votes. Meanwhile, the biggest question on everyone's minds is whether the losing candidate would be able to accept defeat and not take people onto the streets. Alexei Yarshevsky, RT, Kiev, Ukraine.
If you were here in Ukraine, you would have heard allegations and rumors of about everything possible that could happen having happened here during this election. Everything from bomb threats to smoke grenades and naked women, believe it or not. Let's take a look back at some of these highlights of some of the things that we've been hearing and some of the things that have happened here in Ukraine on Election Day. In the first hour, as polls opened, half-naked women went in topless holding banners saying, "Stop raping Ukraine, stop selling our vote, stop lying, the countdown to the war begins now." Very strong messages, not a violent campaign or not anything that really disrupted anything, but again, an interesting note to point out nonetheless. Also, an official observer found a pen with disappearing ink. And what does that mean? It means that the people who used that pen to cast their vote thought that they had cast their vote one way or another, and later on that ink would disappear, meaning that it couldn't be counted as an official vote. Also, there was a psychiatric hospital, but at that hospital there were not enough ballots for people to cast their votes, even the people who worked there. So there was some negotiation going on in terms of how they were going to handle that situation as well. Here's the interesting thing. The name of that hospital, by coincidence, is Yushchenko. but not named after the current president, Viktor Yushchenko, but more for a noted psychiatrist here in Ukraine, Alexander Yushchenko. And then also, very interesting, a dead body of one of Yulia Tymoshenko's supporters and campaign managers at the local level in western Ukraine was found dead at a polling station, and the paperwork from that polling station was missing as well. So a lot of interesting things happening, a lot of accusations. Some of them could be rumors, some of them could be true. And of course, the RT political team will keep you posted as information becomes available and those numbers continue to roll in.